Welcome back to the DLC. So let's move on, please.
Welcome back to the DLC. Welcome back to the travesty. Welcome back. This makes me feel so sickly.
Again,
Have you got a bag on you, Jova?
the only reason
Yes,
I'm
it's free!
the only reason I'm not like the only reason I'm kind of continuing complaining about this. It's mostly for me because I feel the potential getting wasted. If this was just simply bad with no remorse quality whatsoever, I guess I would have just give up and said, well, I guess he did try it, but that's pretty much it. But no, because both the lore and honestly to me the aesthetics have so much potential we could have used, but instead, no, it's used for this. Anyways, you can see now we had to climb down a well. It's one of the more tedious parts of the entire DLC. You need to go through all these gauntlets of, oh Jesus, all these gauntlets of platforming sections, and as usual, if you fuck up even slightly, you have to restart from the last platform that you jumped off. So there you go.
Again, for the comparison's
Also,
sake,
someone's console turned on.
No, that was me turning off.
I guess it's the air conditioner, but whatever. Anyway, yeah. Instead, let me talk about something that I didn't mention before. Well, yeah. First of all, those air sockets apparently spew out those, those black goo, whatever. There's another game that I didn't talk about that offer the challenge level without without having a game over system tied to devs, where you technically speaking can't die. I just got reminded because I was playing around these days. The Middle Earth, Shadow of War, Mordor, and Shadow of War games. The challenge in those instead is that it's not like that you cannot die. You actually technically do die. However, the consequences that are tied to that are integrated to there's a mechanic that is called the Nemesis system, through a very complex system of RNG features, which I honestly have no idea how it works, because it looks something that looks honestly impossible to work. But hey, I'm not a code master, so props to Monolith for managing to do that. The game generates a specific set of enemy commander generals, the orcs of Tolkien fantasy. However, they're randomly generated in a sense that they have both appearance, the clothes they're wearing, their attitude, personality, and weapon armor skills, completely, selected from a huge selection of possibilities. And surprisingly enough, it manages to work and offer a diversified nature. Now, the dying part comes into play in...
Ahriman's been trapped in the temple for a long time. It will take him time to gather his power, but when he does, he will visit 1,000 horrors upon us.
just us or the
yes.
entire world? Be
back.
more specific,
Stop him
please.
now before his power grows.
The temple has gone. He is too strong for us now.
Nice job wrecking it,
So
hero.
what do we do?
You mean you don't have a plan? It was you who brought us
We had to get away.
to where?
Prince, you don't want to
Prince?
answer that?
We can see what happens next.
Yeah.
Next.
And see what happens
hero.
next. The world is doomed, you moron, because you...
Yeah, where are we, Ron?
Actually, I can't even say it's because he couldn't keep it in his pants, because we have no idea what his motivation was. We don't know if he cares for her, if he hates for her, if he loves her, supposedly. He did this for nothing, in the most literal sense.
I said before, why everything about this.
Not to mention, I get
the
that...
idea of a relationship between these two.
I get that the idea that Ahriman wins in every case, technically speaking, would be like the traditional deal with the devil, where he finds a loophole to actually be on top of a situation. I get that. The problem is that this was done intentionally by our protagonist. Not to mention, let's just say that something in the ending of this episode kinda makes pointless the resurrection of Elika, but I will get down to when we'll get to that.
Hey.
Let me continue. The death thing coming into play for the Middle Earth games comes in the fact that your character obviously cannot die due to being basically an undying entity that is fused with a ghost. It's a long story. Basically, however, every time you quote-unquote die, you're incapacitated in universe, you're incapacitated for like 5 minutes or something before waking up. This gives time for the Orcs generals to be cocky about it, and in fact getting a promotion, as Robotnik would say. And this in turns allow you to this in turn allows the not customization, but the hierarchy of the entire Orc army of a region where you are to progress accordingly. The general that has killed you will gain more power, other people will try to kill him as a result, and they will gain or lose new powers in the process, and someone else will take the place missing in the hierarchy, and all sorts of things. So basically, your deaths cause chain reactions all over the place, either unintentionally in case you got killed because you were too careless in combat, or if you done it purposely because you want to manipulate the hierarchy in your favor. It's a very interesting system that encourages players to experiment, both surviving a situation and potentially dying voluntarily if they want to.
Heck,
So,
you know a game
honestly,
is good when players actually want to give dying a chance.
Honestly, that's a way to experiment without having to actually rely on a live system or, you know, having to see game overs constantly. Not to mention, apparently, one of the DLC's support campaigns of Shadow War, one of the side missions that we offer, actually provides you as a challenge to give you the control of a mortal character that can actually die completely. So if you die in that, it's game over. So there's even a catering to people who want a more traditional type of life system.
Wow,
it's similar to the, I think it's never-ending nightmare mode of Batman Arkham Origins, where you basically have to start and finish the game entirely without getting KO'd once. It's very tough.
Props to the
But
developers.
anyway,
It sounds like that game's Middle-earth is quite the full package.
oh, it is. Honestly, honestly what we created with the Nemesis system is very refreshing. I was saying in SSMB that I would love to see that mechanic used again in other games, even not necessarily tied to the same IPs. You know, even just to see how, you know, experimental it can be with other properties, even with Batman, considering Warner Bros. But that depends. Sorry, that depends on what Warner Bros. Wants to do, and you know that's a big what-if scenario. Considering right now Warner Bros. Is not doing that much. Let's just say that at the time of this recording, anyway. But compared to this game, where death is just so meaningless and cheap, this feels such a waste.
Know about this. Death means
Yes?
little enough for it to not matter, but it means just enough for it to be a pain because you get backtracked a lot.
It's not lit. Maybe there's some sort of temple.
What was up with the
Somewhere
frame
we
rate
can
in that
activate the
bit there
plate.
with its cutscene
I don't know.
transition?
No.
Or there's another way out of here.
There is nowhere to go. Even if we escape here, there is
Yeah.
nowhere to run to.
What's
I
even
can
the
think of
point,
100
really?
places.
And Ahriman will follow us to all of them.
Why is Iron Man following you two anyway? Is he really that sore?
Well, technically speaking, being a god and all, he could be omnipotent and expanding his influence everywhere at the
Right.
same time.
Like, again, okay.
Look at that! Just punching it made it work. What the fuck?
Oh, I feel a disturbance
There's
in the
always
force.
another way out.
Yeah, just punching the shit out of things. Basically, these are new tiles. I don't remember exactly what they do, but I think it's like a combination of all the powers, but let me see if I can test it.
You know, one really does have to wonder though, if you
Yeah.
if you came to this place to escape, what's the point of trying to escape this place if you know Arman's out there just waiting to kick your butt?
Anyway, what I was trying to do is to see if I would reach the fresco down there, but I think I just gave up. Yeah, alright. Yeah, I think actually they have the same properties of the jump over, you know, the step over Maz, so... Oh no, actually, yeah, they function similar to the memory thing power from Forgotten Sands. Well, Forgotten Sands will use this kind of thing by saying having this energy platform being reactivated. You know, oh, there you go. I think I actually get it. By having the energy platforms reactivated for a short amount of time. So you can use that as a, you know, passage for the next step of the platform challenge. Yeah, I forgot I was getting this. Mind you, I don't think I get all the frescoes, but again, it's not important. It's just bragging rights. So what the hell?
Congrats! You did a thing! That you had to pay money.
I don't even think you unlock. I don't think you unlock that many, like that being like an art book or something. Like collectibles that can unlock in-game extra, like an art book, are fine to me, honestly, because it still gives a purpose, a meaning. Like collecting all the relics in CTR, getting you the scrapbook, for example, the platinum. Sorry, or beating Oxide at all the time trials. I think that's that.
Or collecting the various collectibles in Sonic Unleashed, which unlock music in the sound test and the movies in the theater.
Yeah, that too.
Again, you know, collectibles. Look, they don't always have to,
No, like I
but
said,
they
it's
should mean
fine.
something.
It's fine. It's it starts doesn't being where we don't really give you aside from bragging rights. When it comes to a trophy, I don't like that, but I will personally still get it just for the lose of getting a trophy. However, I will not agree that it will be a good thing, you know, for a person who doesn't care about achievements or trophy. That it's equivalent of jack shit.
What are you talking about,
So-
people? I'm sure there are people who are also proud that they have the ever so rare platinum trophy of Ride to Hell Retribution.
Totally. I don't even know what's the actual percentage of that. I never checked the PSN profiles. I truth be told, I technically haven't finished the game because I honestly arrived to the point where I didn't know even where I was supposed to go.
Yeah.
And I'm not exactly in a frenzy of getting back to it.
Why? I don't blame you. So, you know, I love how she says quickly while the power's up, and yet those things stay on forever. Like gameplay
I don't
story
remember how much is
segregation.
the duration, but eventually they do expire if you don't, don't move.
Huh.
So
I guess you have to be not moving for like an hour. I joke, but still, holy cow, those things stay up for so long. It's like, again, gameplay story segregation, huh?
But Tail, how about that treasure hunter trophy from 13?
yes. Also, the gotta love how they left some of the quotes from the actual game in for the DLC. So sometimes you get the prince very excited of using a plate, despite the situation being this bleak and the moral between Elika being this down.
Yay!
It's almost like this is all very hand-fisted.
It's
And
ham-fisted, it's spiteful.
and very rushed, actually.
Don't you mean sand fist?
Actually, please remember, Sand are not involved in this reboot. Well,
Well,
at
no,
least
I meant the
at least
Sand on the
magical
ground.
Sand.
You know, for
Yeah.
you know, for comparison's sake, the DLC for Azora's Wrath, regardless of how controversial that move may have been, that was made to cap off the story because they knew that was all they were gonna get.
Not just that, I would argue that it provides actually something that's very entertaining.
True, yeah,
know.
like that final boss is something else. Whereas this just feels like a weird way to try and get a sequel hook for a gamesters. Like, what? Honest to
Mind
question.
you, the sequel hook was already planned. Remember, Java, this was supposed to be the start of a new trilogy, so...
Can you imagine though? So what? Was the whole trilogy going to be about trying to get Arman back after the prince so wonderfully let him
basically,
out?
the idea was basically to, like I said, the idea of the prince to set Ariman free so they couldn't find a way to destroy him permanently.
So,
basically.
you know, it's funny.
Like I say, like imagine the situation. Imagine if the idea of Master Xehanort originally would have been to release the darkness just so he could find a way to purify it completely. Never mind the fact that one of the constant new messages of Kingdom Hearts that reflects stuff IRL is that light cannot coexist without darkness because otherwise there's a disparity and.
Well, that's been a thing since Star Wars. I mean, that's always been a thing.
That too. No, well, I was making the specific example because I was making the example first about Kingdom Hearts, but that immediate opposite has existed also since Star Wars as well. Honestly, I would argue even, I think, some literature, but I can't imagine what the old example may be. I would have to think about it. For the purpose of this, the idea of the prince, I get it that Ahriman is essentially depicted here as the classic evil devil that you do the deals with, and he laughs at your face and always wants, wants the profit of this and blah blah blah. But the truth of the matter is, actually, one way of saying in my country is the devil is not as ugly as it's painted. You know,
True.
Usually made to signify that sometimes people overthink about dangerous situations.
I think
Yes, go on.
I think part of the problem is that you want to have wait, cutscene.
It's just the shape-shifting thing that is chasing us again. This again in the form of a hunter.
Is that supposed to be our man himself? Ooh, tough guy. Anyway,
that's not a great way of of thinking, Prince. He wants to stop them in many ways, regardless of whatever. I'm tired of arguing with the logic of the Prince.
Back to what I was
Yes.
saying. It's like,
Yes, Joe.
you want to have our men win, that's fine, but the sad thing is like the only reason he wins is because the Prince knowingly dooms the world just to bring Elika back. Like, again, you could not have picked a worse reason. Like, it's like if the only reason Xehanort won was because, the only way he'd be able to win would be by, I don't know, sacrificing Kyrie or something, and Sora wouldn't be able to go through with that. I mean, don't get me wrong, there have been stupid reasons for why Xehanort's plan went as long as it did, but nothing that stupid.
Thank you.
Wow, okay, nothing like that. Though 3D still came close, take it. But yeah, it says something when even Kingdom Hearts 3D doesn't piss me off ending-wise as much as this game does.
And that's the kind of the problem. If this was like, you think that a reaction like this would be done, like say at the tail end of a long-running series, that just like say Mass Effect 3 for example. But this is supposedly a fresh new start, the very first game of this new continuity that wants to set the tone right and lay the ground for future things. And instead it falls flat on his face and and basically pisses his pants off in the process.
Much as I hate to admit it.
Oh, what the fuck happened?
Oh god, that was a stupid.
Basically, what happens is that oftentimes the shapeshifter will occasionally change shapes once more. The problem is that when I was in a position where when the camera changed, it wasn't in the right spot and it flicked around again. I guess I'm just doomed at finding glitches in Prince of Persia games.
Again, look, for as terrible as they are, I will admit, when it came to Mass Effect 3, they actually went out of their way to try and win back goodwill by giving us a free DLC ending, which was actually a massive improvement over Mass Effect 3's original ending, which was terrible. And mind you,
Gotta love how every time the shapeshifter is changed, you have to stare. Well, it's kind of a loading screen, but you have to stare the prince's ass, among other things.
Yeah. Like, okay, so back to this game, though. Again, I have to question, what was the idea behind this? So, I mean, okay, look, the thing about the prince reviving Elika, that doesn't feel like a proper ending. That feels more like a midpoint.
There you go.
A midpoint. Because, okay, here's how I would have done it. If you really had to do it.
That's it.
Oh, never mind.
Take whatever
Cutscene.
form you want. You're still finished. Don't you see? If he's trying to stop us, he's scared of something. He's scared.
No, he just wants to kill you because.
Stop him.
That's not what
They don't have to have motivation. They probably just want you
Only
dead.
Maz can do that.
Wait, but didn't
You
we
see,
stop
we-
him last time, to be fair, between the two of us?
What would the motivation be though? We hate.
No, remember, Jova, they only stealed him. What
wow.
the prince means is to permanently stop him.
Half bad chance.
What the motivation?
Not just that,
Oh,
what
we
the example I
hate
just
people.
made about Kingdom
We hate
Hearts
people.
is about the fact that destroying Ahriman will not change things. Hell, to make another example, around the time we recorded in Final Fantasy XIV, Shadowbringers, one of its expansions, actually came out, and it provides an example of a world where light has won, where darkness has been extinguished completely. And guess what? That world is incredibly fucked up beyond belief.
Oh, do tell.
It's similar to the. It basically created a sort of dictatorial, dystopia, where basically if you are so suspected of being, having dark thoughts or having dark elements, a bunch of light monsters will come and eat your face out and make you one of them.
How charming!
And all of this is basically governed by a fat, bald bastard man.
How much? You
Basically,
wanna,
the kind of guy that you will see in an hentai.
how much you want to bet that those light monsters were meant to be angels?
Basically, it's all integrated into the big story.
Glad
Blah
you're
blah
still
blah.
doing that.
I can't explain because it's a very long one up until to Shadowbringers. But as the title suggests, you, ironically enough, as the world light, are supposed to bring back the shadows in the world that was consumed by light.
It's funny you bring up Final Fantasy XIV. That's another example of a game that started off with a somewhat, okay, not somewhat, a very bad first impression, but managed to pick
Or remember,
itself up.
honestly, I think Square Enix really got like a wake-up call here because MMOs are very profitable, and 14 was counting to be basically the next, not cash cow, but very important. And mind you, it is because think about this, Jova. Right now, Final Fantasy 11 is still bringing big money to Square Enix right now, and 11 is extremely old. And technically speaking, the fan base should have, stopped. This last expansion came out a couple of years ago,
Wait,
and
11's still active?
And yeah, because people like it actually. People like being there, and we have a nostalgic feeling about it. And I perfectly understand that. And so it will happen eventually to 14. So Square Enix knew that they had to, find a way to make 14, very likable for the audience as well.
Yeah.
And I distinctly remember the interviews. They literally said,
All we can do now is warn people of what is coming.
that actually is a good point.
Or maybe we could go back to the temple and just probably wouldn't matter.
Something I'm not.
Oh, maybe this shouldn't have happened in the first place.
You think?
Scared of something that links with you.
Oh, I
I
think it
have
was.
the power to fight him. There is nothing that can stop him.
Maybe your powers will grow. Maybe Armin knows that.
Yeah, let's just hope a miracle
Fed by the
happens.
temple.
The
temple
miracle
has
never
gone.
happened.
Oh, never mind her. So the temple is gone. Wait, well in that case though, yeah, your powers aren't fading. What the hell is even going
Whether they
on?
grow or fade, I
Oh,
can't
and now
stop
she
God.
can't even answer
Not
that.
even the strongest Ura of
Look,
old.
I'm not siding
Hey,
with the...
we're getting somewhere with this, Joe, but in case she doesn't mention it, I will mention it at the tail end of the DLC.
Armin is
Yeah,
scared.
I know. It doesn't change that. Again, this makes it
The
even
Ura
worse in
imprisoned him
hindsight,
for
though.
1,000 years.
Yeah.
He isn't the type to forgive and forget.
Neither am I.
My main issue is how
He
both
still
of these
owes me.
characters are dodging...
I'm sorry, still not enough.
Everything else that
He
remains.
still owes me a donkey?
He will
Wait, so
swallow
do you
cities,
know the donkey's
devour
dead,
the
or...
land. There is nothing.
You know what?
Well, with this storm, it's pretty much implied
We should
that
move
he
on.
pretty much knows
Before
that he's
corruption
dead.
has time to build up.
Don't you mean she?
Yeah, the donkey, whatever. Anyway, I'll finish quickly before the part ends. Basically, I was actually following their interviews before Realm Reborn was launched, and I remember Yoshida specifically stated they were going to pull the fan service card specifically for this purpose. That's why the game has so many references to other Final Fantasy, pretty much for the entire series. And is getting it more and more. But that's the thing, like I mentioned, either someone in another part. I honestly think it's a case where the fan service actually works and it's not even that intrusive. And if it wasn't for the fact that it's an MMO, I would argue that 14 is the best story of a modern Final Fantasy game, period, mainline.
Really? I guess
I
with
still,
it having a lot
I
of
still
lore.
very like the one of 15, and I really applaud for the work that Tabata has done, but I strongly believe that 14 is a better one. Granted, he has the advantage of being MMO, so the expensors are just there to expand on that. So it's kind of cheating in that regard. That's why I didn't say the defeat was.
It's not really a fair comparison because
Exactly what I mentioned,
the
but
overall
yeah.
methods are completely different in construction.
That's true. But anyway, the good news. I have good news, everyone. In next part, we finish the DLC and finally the game for good. So see you for that.
The bad news, though, is that what you
It
have...
still sucks.
Oh, yeah, what you get to see is...
The bad news is it gets worse.
Yes. Yes. Remember when you said you may have to rethink your simply "it's just bad" card from the initial final thoughts you had?
Well,
about
I
this
said
game?
like, it's just a waste. It's just like a waste of time. It was just boring.
Remember when you said you may have to
Anyways,
rethink that? Get ready in the
Anyway.
final part, then. The peaceful
Alright.
existence of crap is yet
See
to
ya.
come.
See ya.
Yeah.